Home Alone 2 Lost in New York takes place in a very specific time in history, back when people didn't kick up too much fuss over a lost child or two. Those were well, maybe not the good old days, but definitely the days where we were more predisposed to wacky hijinks. But Kevin McAllister wasn't the only one constantly goofing up, and at least he had being a kid as an excuse.
What?
The newly nicknamed Sticky Bandits returned for the sequel, having escaped from prison at some point. But how did these two dopes who couldn't even rob a kid manage to escape from prison? Whoever said everyone's good at something clearly never met Marv Merchants and Harry Lime from the first two Home Alone movies. These two criminals couldn't even rob a house with only a little boy living in it. Oh wait, that's not a simile, that's the plot for the first movie. And if you loved it the first time around, good news, because the sequel is pretty much exactly the same movie, but it takes place in New York City. As anyone who has an older sibling knows, they are irredeemably terrible the vast majority of the time, and good old Buzz McAllister is no exception to this rule. Not only does he not appreciate the delicious subtlety of a quality plain cheese pizza, but he kicks off Home Alone 2 Lost in New York by humiliating Kevin during his solo at the Christmas pageant. Way to get into the holiday spirit, Buzz. Kevin is a little kid with a surprising amount of enemies, and Buzz is the least of his problems when he gets, as the title suggests, lost in New York. This movie is filled with everyone making the same mistakes they did the first time around. The McAllister family's running late on vacation, and they set out for Florida, missing a member of the family. When Kevin arrives in New York after getting on the wrong plane, he promptly checks into the Swanky Plaza Hotel because this is a kid who knows how to vacation. Who wants to spend Christmas in Florida anyway? And then there are the wet bandits. The sticky bandits. These guys may be dumb, but at least they understand the importance of branding. The first time around, they were calling themselves the Wet Bandits, which is really a terrible and gross-sounding criminal name. At least they're not the Moist Bandits. Ugh. But they changed their name after Marv pulled off this criminal mastermind move of wrapping his hand with tape in order to steal money from a donation bucket.
Brilliant.
You know, Marv, if you just went through the proper channels, you probably could have qualified to obtain that money legitimately. No tip required. At the end of the first movie, these two wound up in prison after their final encounter with Kevin. But in the second movie, they're walking around New York City looking for both easy money and revenge. Well, if you're not a detail-oriented person, you might not have noticed this newspaper, which features our boys right on the front page. It reads, "Wet Bandits Escape During Prison Riot," which hardly seems like front-page material, to be honest. Must have been slow news day. Now, the unpleasantly textured bandits are pretty dumb, but clearly they know how to seize an opportunity. Things get pretty hectic during prison riots, and the guards were presumably busy trying to restore order. This means it would have been a perfect opportunity for these two to slip away unseen and make their big escape. But if this was the kind of riot that resulted in a bunch of breakouts, surely that would have been the headline. Even on a local level, the Sticky Bandits wouldn't have made the front page if a bunch of other criminals were also on the loose, right? So we can safely assume that during this riot, Harry and Marv were the only prisoners who managed to escape. And clearly those two goons didn't have any help from the outside, or they probably would have been able to hitch a better ride than a fish truck. That smell is just impossible to get out of your clothes. Don't ask me how I know. It doesn't take a criminal mastermind to know that breaking out of prison is notoriously difficult. At first, it's easy to assume that Harry and Marv simply saw an opportunity when things got heated, and then they slipped out and managed to find their way to New York City. Even in the heat of a riot, opportunities like that aren't easy. This is a lot more complicated than putting tape on your hand. Plus, during a riot, one of the first things that happens is the guards lock everything down. You know, in order to prevent people from leaving. They're really strict about that kind of thing. A little overkill, in my opinion. So even an opportunistic pair of thieves would be unlikely to get out this way. Instead, it seems more likely that Harry and Marv would have planned this in advance. They must have had to act pretty quickly once everything started going down. But even though these two may be decent at committing crimes, unless they go up against a particularly smart child, they are not clairvoyant. Or at least it's never been established in the movies that they are. If they were, they probably would have picked a different house to rob in the first movie at the very least. Being bested by a child at something is really embarrassing, let alone getting beaten multiple times. But let's give credit where credit is due, because all things considered, it kind of seems like Harry and Marv might have actually been behind the entire riot in the first place. They probably cooked up some idea about how to escape and realized they'd need a distraction first. I can't say exactly how easy it is to start a prison riot. It's been a long time since I started one. But after spending a year incarcerated, they probably could have figured it out. And while everyone else was busy fighting amongst each other, the sticky bandits made an escape. Who knows what these two not-as-dumb-as-they-look criminals could have accomplished if they hadn't gone up against Kevin McAllister. Whether you're cautiously optimistic about the Home Alone reboot or whether you consider remaking this movie a crime against humanity, we'll keep you posted either way. To make sure you stay up to date with the latest from CBR, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications either right from this page or from the settings menu if you're on mobile. Outsmarting the YouTube algorithm is so easy even Marv and Harry could do it. Well, maybe. What do you think about Marv and Harry's criminal careers? Take a moment to share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. And don't forget to give us a like and click on that subscribe button for more great videos from us here at CBR. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.